All right, guys, this should be a fun video. The question I'm seeing a lot, or a lot of people are talking about this lately, is Trump the antichrist? I know I'm kind of saying that nonchalant. You guys know I was a big Trump guy for years. Deportations, I'm all for it. Shut down the border, gotta do it. But everything going on right now with Iran and the way Trump has kind of gone crazy on Twitter, he's saying the F word on Easter, talking about annihilating civilians in Iran. It makes you wonder, could Trump be the Antichrist? And I think it's definitely a possibility. I mean, anything's possible because the third Antichrist is supposed to be some kind of political leader. And a lot of people are saying with Trump, when he got sworn in, he did not touch the Bible. I think Tucker Carlson was talking about this a lot. It says Trump skipped Bible during the 2025 inauguration, sparking criticism. Tucker Carlson questions Trump rejection of Christian symbolism after president's controversial Easter message. Former President Trump faces criticism from conservative commentator Tucker Carlson for not placing his hand on the Bible during his 2025 inauguration ceremony. I never knew this. I don't know why I'm just hearing about this right now. So a little bit of background on me. I haven't been very religious probably in 20 years, but I did go to Catholic school as a kid. I remember going to the religious classes, and the nuns would always talk about the Antichrist. They would always talk about it. It was like, that was their thing. They were always looking around for the Antichrist. Where is he? Where is he? Is it Bush? Is it Clinton? Who is it? And it was really a big thing in the Catholic Church, just looking out for this new Antichrist. I used to watch all the documentaries as a kid, and they were fun. So I kind of know a little bit about this stuff. So if you watch Tucker Carlson, I mean, he's basically furious at Trump. And I agree with a lot of the things he's talking about right now. For one, Trump is coming out mocking Islam. Islam has its problems, but we really don't want a religious war. And just talking about the killing civilians. I mean, Trump's Easter tweet was saying the F word, talking about bombing people. It's just something happened with Trump. Maybe Trump didn't start out like this. Maybe he got too much power to his head. And now Trump thinks he's like the God because he got so powerful. Maybe it kind of went to his head. Maybe you're not born the Antichrist. Maybe you start out as a regular person and then the power just all goes to your head and you become the Antichrist.
So obviously you're mocking the religion of Iran. Okay. If you seek a religious war, that's a good idea. But by the way, no decent person mocks other people's religions. You may have a problem with the theology. Presumably you do if it's not your religion, and you can explain what that is. But to mock other people's faith is to mock the idea of faith itself. And we should never mock that, because at its core is the acknowledgement that we are not in charge of the universe. We did not build it. We won't be here at the end of it. We can destroy life. We cannot create it because we are not God. The message of all faith at the biggest picture level is the message in our Bible, which is you are not God. And only if you think you are do you talk this way.
All right, so here's where Tucker talks about Trump not putting his hand on the Bible. Again, I had just found out about this today. I had no idea this actually happened. I don't know why it wasn't bigger news. I guess people didn't care. But here's a little bit of this.
Holding it. I was about 15 feet away and saw it. But he did not put his hand on the Bible. And that should have been maybe a clue that we need to pause and think about, what is this? Why wouldn't you put your hand on the Bible? If you don't believe in the Bible, you think it's just a book, there's no cost to you to putting your hand on it, just kind of following the protocol, going along with the tradition. All presidents do it. Why aren't you doing it? And you're not doing it intentionally. You're choosing not to put your hand on the Bible when you take that oath. That suggests not that you don't believe it's real, because if you didn't believe it was real, why would you care? You'd put on the costume and take it off. It doesn't matter. That suggests you know it is real and you're rejecting it.
Yeah, I mean, why else would Trump not put his hand on the Bible? Now, maybe he didn't even know he was supposed to put his hand on the Bible. Maybe it was kind of like a formality thing. He just wasn't paying attention. There was a lot going on. That's possible as well. But it is a little odd Trump didn't want to put his hand on the Bible. I will absolutely give you that. Then, of course, we have Trump's Easter tweet, which, I mean, Easter, if you're a Catholic or Christian, Easter is a big day. Supposedly Trump is supposed to be a Christian. You don't really get up and tweet this. Tuesday will be power plant day. Of course, he's talking about Iran. He's talking about Iran. Tuesday will be power plant day, bridge day, all wrapped in one. In Iran, there will be nothing like it. Open the fucking straits, you crazy bastard, or you'll be living in hell. Praise be to Allah, blah, blah, blah. So he's like just on this epic cursing, tirade on Easter, which is really odd. I mean, you just don't see a religious person doing that on Easter. It's one of the most holy days. And obviously Trump could care less about it. He's just tweeting that. Like, it's almost like something the Antichrist would do. That is something the Antichrist would do. Tweet something like that on Easter, talking about death and destruction and, destroying a civilization, destroying civilian bridges and power plants. That's something you would expect the Antichrist to do. Now, is Trump just pretending to be a madman because he wants to scare Iranians? That's also possible too. Okay, so the third Antichrist. The Antichrist is a figure in Christian astrology prophesied to oppose Jesus Christ, appearing before the second coming to falsely substitute himself as Savior. Often associated with the beast of Revelations, this entity is described as persuasive, deceptive, political leader who brings false peace before enforcing tyrannical rule. Now, everybody who talks about the Antichrist is always a political leader like Hitler, Stalin, something like that. So we knew the third Antichrist would be a political leader. So that would kind of, fall under Trump. The individual beast, a specific end-time political leader who gains global power, often predicted to arise from revived Roman Empire. The spirit of Antichrist, a broader ongoing force or ideology that denies Jesus is the Christ, actively working against God's teachings throughout history. I mean, you can make the argument Trump talking about bombing civilians. That's kind of not something Jesus would say. The many Antichrist, John 2:18 states that many Antichrists have appeared, referring to anyone who denies the Father and Son, blah, 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 blah. Denies Christ. The primary definition is someone who denies that Jesus is the Son of God. Now, Trump hasn't come out and said all that stuff, but not putting your hand on the Bible, that's a little bit weird. So this is actually a show I watched when I was a kid. It was this Nostradamus show, and the Nostradamus predicted Hitler. Nostradamus actually predicted Hitler. He actually said the name Histler as one of the Antichrists. So here's the Nostradamus prophecies.
All other traditions, East and West, have one Antichrist, but he has three.
Experts say Nostradamus wrote of two antichrists that have since come and gone, leaving unparalleled destruction and bloodshed in their wake. Many insist that the final part of this prophecy has yet to come true. They suggest that the third false prophet may be destined to wreak havoc in our own time, and that he may be among us right now. Some believe that the key to unlocking the mystery of the third Antichrist may be found in the identities of the first two, and that clues revealing who they are could be found in Nostradamus's quatrains.
An emperor will be born near Italy. He will cost his empire very dearly.
In this quatrain, it is suggested that Nostradamus prophesied the first Antichrist. Nostradamus predicts this destructive leader will come from southern Europe to plague his own people.
Napoleon was born near Italy. He did bring his empire to ruin. In that quatrain, we have a story of a ruler who brought about disaster.
All right, so Nostradamus predicted the first Antichrist, and of course that was Napoleon. So the second Antichrist, let's see what he says about that one.
Take the Israelites out of the nations where they have gone. I will gather them from all around and bring them back into their own land.
God said throughout the Old Testament that in the last days, I will draw my people from the four corners of the earth back to the land of their forefathers, Palestine. That literally opened the curtain for the Antichrist to come on the scene.
We are examining whether an Antichrist of biblical proportions has arrived to accelerate the chaos and destruction witnessed in the modern world. The quatrains of Nostradamus suggest that this Antichrist will be the last of 3 false messiahs. His arrival will be immediately preceded by a second evil, one who creates the conditions for the last of Nostradamus's antichrists to destroy the world. For centuries, followers of Nostradamus have examined his quatrains for clues to the identity of the second Antichrist.
From the very depths of the west of Europe,
Nostradamus feared that the second Antichrist would be many times more brutal than the first.
Nostradamus is telling us that something is coming upon the earth that we are not used to, that he has described, if you like, in the first 2 antichrists. They weren't simply national monsters, they were supranational monsters. They had enormous worldwide influence. And I think that that's what he's implying here.
His prophecies about the second Antichrist are among his most persistent and specific. Many agree they point directly at history's most notorious madman.
he who by his tongue will seduce a great troop.
Nostradamus first mentions the second Antichrist in this chilling quatrain, which dooms Europe to another round of terror and destruction. And there is just such a man, from the exact location prophesied by Nostradamus, Adolf Hitler.
Liberty will not be regained. It will be occupied by a black, proud, villainous, and unjust man. When the matter of the pontiff is opened, the Republic of Venice will be vexed by Dister.
Hitler often...
Yeah, so he predicted the first 2 antichrists. Now, the second antichrist, Nostradamus called Dister, but in reality it was Hister. And obviously, if you're seeing the future, I mean, Nostradamus was hundreds of years before all this happened, you might see something that says Hister, but in reality it's Hitler. So he predicted the first 2. We're going to go to the third one in a minute. I haven't watched this since... I watched this show when I was like 15 years old. I'm in my 40s now. I was scared shitless. I was watching this ancient prophecy show with my dad. I couldn't sleep. It was scary. So, but I'd always stuck with me like Nostradamus, because Nostradamus had really interesting predictions as far as Antichrist.
Appears in interpretations of Nostradamus, largely because Nostradamus keeps referring to a figure called Hister.
So that's crazy. That's crazy. The second Antichrist, Hister. And it turned out to be Hitler. All right, let me find the third one here. All right, here's the third Antichrist. I haven't seen this since I was 15. I don't remember. This is going to be talking about the third Antichrist. This will pertain to, is Trump the Antichrist? Let's see if there's any similarities. I don't know. I have not seen this in a while.
Old Savior will set the conditions for Armageddon. From where do believers suspect this third Antichrist will emerge? Will it be in the turbulent Middle East, Iraq, Iran? Or might he appear from desperate regions within Africa? Some say he will perhaps emerge from within a superpower government, such as the United States.
I believe that the world is already preparing for him coming on the scene.
What clues in the quatrains of Nostradamus provide solid leads to identify the third Antichrist?
The one he wanted to warn our time about was the third one, because he was the worst of all of them, because he would learn from the mistakes made by Hitler. This way.
And if you look, Donald Trump does mention Hitler a lot, like when he gives candid interviews. He obviously, from a historian prospect, he kind of like envied Hitler. He kind of envied the way Hitler came to power, the crowd size. You know, Trump's all about crowd sizes. And the one thing about Hitler is Hitler got a lot of crowds. If you watch any of those old Hitler documentaries, Hitler had people lining out the door to see him. They almost looked at him like a deity. They would like pass out, almost like with Trump. When Trump would hold those rallies, there would be people lined up out the door. Like nobody knew. Like, why are so many people interested in watching Trump? I mean, he was like funny and stuff like that, but I never understood why so many people really wanted to go to his speeches, because it was always the same speech over and over again. Hitler had the same thing. People just lined up. They wanted to see him. Like he had this natural ability to draw people in. Hitler had that. Trump has that as well. All right. I'm not saying Trump's the Antichrist. This is just for fun, but I'm hearing that a lot right now. He could be the Antichrist. What the hell do I know? But let's do some comparison.
He would know which way to go. And he's a very dangerous man, very powerful and very dangerous.
But there's a strange and unexpected twist. Some believe this most horrible of Nostradamus' antichrists will be heralded by evil forerunners, extremely dangerous men who will signal his arrival. Nostradamus seems to suggest as much in this obscure quatrain.
The chief of London through the realm of America, the Isle of Scotland will be tried by frost. King and Reb will face an antichrist so false that he will place them in the conflict altogether.
Are the followers of Nostradamus suggesting that some of today's most savage leaders, who have targeted the United States and Western Europe with their terrorist attacks, may be trusty lieutenants of this third Antichrist? Are they actually clearing the way for the third Antichrist's arrival?
He saw at least 7 rulers that would come to power before the time of the Antichrist.
Some believe Saddam Hussein was one of these forerunners.
Lightweight, he's a lightweight.
They say it was written in the stars and interpreted by Nostradamus himself, who predicted,
At once one will see vengeance, 100 powers, thirst, famine, when the comet will pass.
Saddam Hussein died and was hung. And on that very night before his death, a little smudge in the sky called Comet McNaught became visible. Comet McNaught, in the next 2 weeks, became the brightest comet in 60 years.
although Nostradamus experts suggest Saddam himself was the third Antichrist, others disagree. They argue that, unlike Napoleon and Hitler, as the supposed first two Antichrists, Hussein lacked their vast power.
Before you can qualify really to be the third
Yeah, there's no way Saddam Hussein was a third Antichrist. He was more of like a lightweight. He was like a little baby Antichrist. Actually, this isn't the same show I saw back when I was a teenager. This is different. It's the same idea with Nostradamus predictions, but this one's updated, which is even better because we get more of an updated of what's going on in the world. But yeah, there's no way Saddam Hussein was one of the Antichrists.
Antichrist. You've got to have a big army. You've got to have a big air force. You got to have a big navy. You got to have a lot of manpower. You got to have a lot of economic resources. Saddam had a little of that, but not a whole lot of it. So he didn't really qualify to be the big bad wolf of the future.
He saw Saddam Hussein as not the Antichrist, but a forerunner. Many of these would set the stage.
Others suggest yet another quatrain as possible proof that the theory of forerunners to the third Antichrist is valid. It seems to implicate Osama bin Laden, mastermind of the attacks on 9/11.
In the year 1999 and 7 months, a great king of terror will come from the sky.
We have the famous prophecy about the King of Terror descending from the skies in 1999, which could be a reverse code for 1999 becomes 9111 September month. Great King of Terror coming.
So Nostradamus kind of predicted 9/11. Okay, let's try to get into this a little bit more of what more we should be looking for the third Antichrist.
If we accept the theory that Napoleon and Hitler were the first two, what might the third and most cunning Antichrist hold in store for us? Could the Antichrist be a real person and not a construct of religion and symbolism?
We are racing irreversibly toward the end of time and through the ultimate prophecies that condemn the earth. It is prophecy, and prophecy will be fulfilled to the letter.
Nostradamus' prophecies suggest the third Antichrist may have powers that far exceed the other two.
Stained with mass murder and adultery.
All right, Trump has more power than any of these other Antichrists. He's done a lot of adultery.
This great enemy of humanity will be worse than any man before him, in steel, fire, water, bloody and monstrous.
So the question becomes, are any real leaders today actual candidates who meet the criteria identified in these prophecies?
All right, so this came out before Trump. Obviously, in this documentary, they're not going to be mentioning Trump because Trump was a businessman. He wasn't even in politics at the time. But yeah, Trump does match all that. Trump is the most powerful person in the world. He's not a very religious person. He's kind of a dick, not a nice guy. That Easter tweet, I almost can't believe it. So yeah, I mean, he does fit the mold of the possible third Antichrist, as the leader of one of the biggest superpowers of all time.
President fits the bill.
The third Antichrist very soon annihilated. 27 years his bloody war will last.
This prophecy suggests a long-lasting worldwide war will follow the third Antichrist's death. Could the third Antichrist have already come and gone?
Like I said, this is before Trump, but 27-year war, I mean, Trump's not looking too healthy. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump only has about a year or two left. He looks very unhealthy. So maybe everything he's starting right now in Iran and the Middle East is going to last for 27 years, and then we'll have the end of the world. I don't know, guys. I don't know, guys. It's fun to talk about, but you know, it's just not. It's a joke, but everything Trump's doing right now, I mean, you could line it up. If you're a historian, Nostradamus, you could line it up to the third Antichrist. I'm just doing some more research on my phone. The third Antichrist will begin his terror around the 2010s. That's around when Trump came out. If you remember, Trump announced in 2014 he might be running for president. People were asking him in like 2010. He was doing that whole thing with Obama, like talking about running for president, and then Obama's like, oh, you'll never win president. So that's possible. The third Antichrist is linked with a 27-year war, with famine, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know, guys. Could be Trump. It really just depends how this war plays out. You know, if this whole war in Iran thing ends, we'll be good to go. But I just don't see this war in Iran ending. These Middle East wars tend to last forever, and Iran would love a nice long war. So is Trump the Antichrist? Who freaking knows?
Intentionally. You know what you're doing, and you're doing it anyway. That is immoral. That will never be moral. That can never be justified. That is always wrong. It can be expedient. We need to do this. It doesn't mean it's right. It's the most wrong thing. And we should always remember that what we do will be done to us. Live by the destruction of civilian infrastructure. Live by the killing of children, the bombing of elementary schools and colleges.
And if you all remember when, you know, Trump bombed, you know, obviously it was probably an accident when they bombed that school in Iran. He really could have cared less. I mean, if you look at the expression on his face, and same with Pete Hegseth, although he looked a little bit more distraught. I don't think Pete Hegseth is the Antichrist. I just think he's like a useful idiot. But I don't think Trump cares. Like, I think death does not really affect him. And I feel like to be the Antichrist, you kind of have to be one of those people like Saddam Hussein or Hitler, where they come to you and they're like, you know, we lost 10,000 people today on the battlefield. And they're like, who cares? They just don't care. I think Trump's like one of those people. Like, human life does not mean much to him. All right, guys, a fun video. I don't know if Trump's the Antichrist. It's fun to do a video like this in these crazy times. But we will be monitoring the situation. I think it's definitely a possibility that if Trump's not the Antichrist, he's definitely, like, look what he's doing. Like, complete world instability right now. Like, countries can't get gas. A lot of these Asian countries are like on lockdown, telling people not to go to work because they can't get gas. Like, the entire world has been destabilized by what Trump did in Iran. And that's kind of something you would see the Antichrist do. Complete world destabilization, trying to get other countries into the war. You know, Trump's trying to get other countries into this war as well. Like, it's like everything Trump's doing right now is basically like something you would picture the Antichrist doing. So we shall see, guys. We shall see. Like and subscribe. Talk to you later.